I always had a fear of clowns when I was a kid. Like, I actually had a fear of them back in the day. Ronald McDonald was probably one of my childhood fears. Like, he didn't comfort me or anything like that. I always preferred Mac tonight as a mascot, as he wasn't even a clown. I would often go to McDonald's every Friday or Saturday and would often get a very good meal. It's not too common for a very busy day for McDonald's was pretty good to eat. However, I always get those creepy vibes from Ronald McDonald. Just him being a clown as a mascot always gets me. I often skip many birthday parties whenever it has clowns in them. Would even skip them if the clowns try to comfort me. Years passed by, I was officially at least 24, and my fear of clowns died down. But not for long when I saw what was going to come. One day I went shopping at a local Walmart when I was 24. Like I said, my fear of clowns died down since. But I bought some South Park DVDs. It was at least the 15th season of the show and drove back home to it. I was a bit hungry and decided to, of course, pick up some McDonald's. Well, when I went back home, I went to the basement where I decided to watch South Park. It's a very dark basement, but I didn't care. When I opened up the South Park case, I was greeted by an unexpected surprise. It was a disc that said The Ronald McDonald Show on it. Apparently, there were 2 discs of the supposed TV show on this case. The disc was very, and I mean very, dirty. It wasn't really clean, so I decided to clean it from its dirtiness. It was at least around this night, and when I was gonna watch this... Oh boy, this is gonna get interesting, I said. It was getting tense, and I would like to watch this Ronald McDonald show for my curiosity. Popped this disc in and continued eating my food. When the show appeared, it was called, of course, The Ronald McDonald Show. Don't be confused with The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. It had 4 episodes, and it was pretty interesting. Since I am not afraid of clowns anymore, it looked like a show from either the 1990s or the 2000s, and pressed the first episode. I could tell that because that's what it seems like, where it could take place. Say, maybe the hairstyles or something. The intro has, of course, Ronald McDonald in it. You could see the cast as well, and the crew in the intro with some happy theme song playing. The show centered around Ronald McDonald in what appeared to be in a chair in some house. This episode centered him in some living room with some McDonald's accessories around him. "Welcome to the Ronald McDonald Show," Ronald said, and would later say, "Today's episode we will talk to some children, and we could give them out prizes," Ronald said. He was a bit creeped out, but wasn't really scared like he used to be. There was a child sitting on Ronald's lap, like if he was Santa Claus. Ronald would tell this child about his day by saying, "So, Johnny, how was your wonderful day? Have you got any plans for the weekend?" This child, Johnny, would reply, "I'm doing great, Ronald. I'd like to play with my toys." Ronald responded, "Would you like a stuffed teddy bear from me?" The child, who, of course, was silent, but still smiled, would then respond within the next 4 seconds by saying, "Thanks, Ronald." He would let the child go. The next child, who was named Christine, was where things were kind of getting weird. It was like she was getting held hostage or something. I don't know. She would say in this like soft but force-speaking voice by saying, "Hi, Ronald." And Ronald would say, "Well, hello, Christine." I was a bit worried. Gets a bit creepier, but when it cuts to this, Ronald says back, "So what do you want for you, Christine?" Christine didn't say a word, but instead she stood silent. Ronald gave this a pass, but what's weird was the episode suddenly ended. Something just unsettles me from watching this. What is happening and what is going on? I later went to a local mall to shop for some items. A Pennywise poster? I don't know about that, but something came to my mind saying, we'll have to continue watching to see what eerie things are going on. Back at home, I got a phone call from my friend saying he's seen a weird McDonald show that contained something sinister. Something came to my head, as if this was the same show I'd been watching since. I was meant to watch South Park, not whatever the hell this is, but I decided to watch the next episode. My curiosity turned into something into this whatever Ronald McDonald show is, and I wanted to know what the hell I am even watching. This episode was titled Episode 2, and I decided to watch it in midnight in my very dark room with that CRT TV I have. It just seems more creepier and gives me the creepy vibes I had when I used to be as a child. That's where I decided to stir up a bit. I decided to watch episode 2, and this episode showed Ronald McDonald giving out kids free burgers and such. It was at a McDonald's building where it took place. Ronald said, "Well, today we'll be showing you how to cook burgers. Just have a look here." I was into it. Suddenly, it seems like Ronald McDonald was actually showing us how to cook burgers. It's pretty confusing for a kids show, but I shrugged it off anyway. Ronald showed us while saying, "Remember, kids, safety first." The cooking scene took like around 2 minutes to actually finish, and the shot cuts to a playground of some sort. With that Mayor McCheesehead, you know that those old McDonald's playgrounds with that Mayor McCheesehead? Yeah, pretty much those playgrounds. Playground showed kids playing and having fun and such. Except for one kid. This kid had a sad expression on his face and looked very traumatized, like if he saw something horrible. My attention grew into more curiosity for that child, like if he was terrified and worried about something. The episode continues with Ronald finishing the burgers and giving them out to kids. I grew my interest into even more, wanting to know why 2 children are worried about something. Then off to the next episode. Episode 3 was the title of this episode. I pressed this 3rd episode of whatever the TV show is. The episode played and the episode began, of course, with the intro as usual. The episode began with Ronald McDonald and a spinning wheel. This episode begins with Ronald saying, "If you spin the wheel on this prize, you get it." The first child looked if he was tired or something, but he was going to play. He spun the wheel and got some sort of burger. "Congratulations, Kevin, you got a free burger," Ronald said towards Kevin after he spun the wheel. Kevin, of course, gets a free hamburger. The episode continues with the next child, and things looked very familiar. I noticed something, and each episode had different styles to it, like if they were filmed in a different year. Johnny appears to be around 11 from the first episode. 3rd episode. Around the first one, he looked at least somewhat 6. To my surprise, something odd was going on. Each episode was filmed somewhere different. So the episode continues with Johnny, and Ronald said, "So, Johnny, spin the wheel." Johnny didn't do anything, nor said a word. Just stood there until he mouthed something. But the audio cuts to silence like if it was muted. Thinking it was an error, but the episode that turned to silence. I could see Johnny mouth something strange. The next episode, the audio comes back when Ronald McDonald has the next child. Ronald said, "So, Jenny, why don't you spin the wheel? You get a free prize." Jenny, too, looked very odd looking. She appears to be looking like malnourished or something. Disturbs me to the slightest bit. She, of course, spins the wheel and gets a teddy bear. She gets it, but the audio, again, cuts to silence. Jenny is mouthing something. Something unusual is going on with the show. What is Ronald McDonald doing? Who made this? Why would they do this? My curiosity grew to know the truth. After Jenny was finished talking, she broke down into tears, and the episode ended with Ronald saying, "Well, folks, guess that's the episode for today. The episode ended right there." The episode ended right there. I was a bit worried about the fourth one, but to my bravest extent, I decided to watch it, and the episode, of course, began normally. This episode shows the camera pointing at Ronald like if he was going to show something, and he was. Ronald would say, "Would you like to see the truth?" Oh boy, my heart was racing on that will be considered horrifying to watch. That very dark room with a CRT television in there. Something's not good will happen, and that is because just when Ronald McDonald opened this weird room door, something horrible just happened. He showed us some collection or some sort, and the image was very blurry for a few seconds, but just when things were done blurring, something horrible came to my mind. Because just when the scene unblurred, something shocking happens. There was a collection of decapitated heads in like these shelves that Ronald collected or something. It appears my fear of clowns has came back since Ronald showed us these heads. They were decaying and they looked very old, but that's not the worst part. The worst part cuts to a black screen with these disturbing words to it. "Dear viewer, we are a trafficking group that makes this show called The Ronald McDonald Show for money. We aren't the McDonald's company, but rather a bootleg show we made since 1993 and stopped this year. We made it DVD only, and a man dressed as Ronald McDonald. Our group has murdered parents since the last 18 years and kept children as our own for making money. We kept the children as workers and actors for our home show. You cannot find us and you cannot save them. Contacted the local authorities about this. I was horrified on what I was hearing. How the hell were they not caught? I've been waiting for a response from the local authorities due to the fact that there was literally a trafficking group that murders adults and traffics their children as slaves or something. This was very damn creepy, if you ask me. When the local authorities contacted me back, they would actually say something like this. Turns out that this story does have a happy ending. Local authorities have once investigated this case, but it turns out whatever in this show never actually happened. It was staged, and I was glad that this never actually happened, but it was very grim, and the way the children responded and the decaying heads looked as if they were real, surprisingly. Very realistic that you can make the FBI follow your footsteps if you actually did that.